Hello, everyone. Welcome to Measuring the Score podcast, the podcast where we offer our opinions on film scores and the films they're inspired by. I'm Chris.
And I'm Leslie.
Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Measuring the Score. And today is very special because today is our composer showcase. Yay!
Yay!
All right, every 5 episodes we do a composer showcase on a particular composer. Well, this one is very special. Leslie, you want to tell us why?
This one is very special for 2 particular reasons. Reason number 1 is that this composer inspired Chris to be a composer. He's loved this composer ever since he was 15 years old.
I have been a big fan of this guy, seriously.
I have learned this today, guys.
Every time a new soundtrack would come out, it was like, you know, a new band just come out with a song or a new album or something. I had to rush and go get it. And I used to get it on Amazon back when Amazon was just books and music, and that was it. That's all they sold.
You're such a dork.
I am. I really, really am.
And number 2, we actually got to interview this composer.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We got to talk to the one, the only, the 2-time Academy Award nominated composer, Marco Beltrami. Now, before we begin this episode, I kind of want to go over a couple things. We had a short time frame to talk to Marco because he is a very, very busy person. He has got a lot going on, seriously. He just finished up a concert, Bach by Beltrami. And if you have not heard anything about this, guys, seriously, stop the podcast. Try to go find anything you can about this concert. It was seriously, seriously amazing stuff. What excerpts that we heard, because I don't live in California. I don't get to go to these concerts. Wish I did. Hopefully, the concert will come close to us, I hope.
What's fascinating about this is, and you'll hear this during the interview, he'll mention it, is that he's taken all of the preludes from Bach and he has modernized them in a way that has paid homage to Bach. It's just eloquent, and the excerpts that I've heard sound wonderful. So if you're in the area, one of the areas that actually are playing these concerts, go see it. You will be thoroughly amazed and you'll enjoy it.
So like I was saying, Marco's a very busy person, so he was kind enough to take time out of his very busy schedule to talk to us. Unfortunately, it was Murphy's Law. We ran into every problem that you could think. Computer crashed, SD card crashed. It was everything that would happen all at one time, right at the beginning of the interview. So it ate a lot of our interview time. But Marco was awesome, though. He really was. He stuck with it. You know, we kept apologizing, and he was like, "It's fine. Don't worry about it."
We're Southerners. We apologize about everything, though.
We really do. So, you know what? I'm gonna quit talking. I'll just go ahead and get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, here is our interview with Marco Beltrami. All right, Marco, thank you so much for joining us here on Measuring the Score. Big fan of yours for a very long time. I mean, seriously, I think we've mentioned you several times on the show, so I'm just going to jump right into it. I'm going to ask you the hardest question you've ever been asked. You've got so much going on. You've got a brand new movie, No Exit, on Hulu right now. You just finished up a concert, Bach by Beltrami, and also you just released all 4 of the Scream scores. You dug into the past, you brought everything to light, even the score to the film within the film. So Marco, I'm going to ask you the hardest question right here, first and foremost. Do you even sleep?
Well, I actually, interesting question. I've had chronic insomnia since high school, so
wow.
I don't sleep. Yeah, it's been sort of the bane of my existence. But no, I mean, these are the things that you mentioned, all are time consuming. The concert especially was very involving time wise. It's the first time I had done something like this. And so there's a lot of extra steps. It's not like writing a film score. A lot of organizational things, a lot of extra musical things, besides the music and the rehearsals and everything. So yeah, that was a lot. But the other stuff, the Scream, it was sort of neat to revisit this after 25 years. It's crazy how fast the time goes by. And we had all the materials. Question of digging it up, going through it. I have in the studio here with me, actually another Southerner, Buck Sanders from South Carolina, and he was really instrumental in getting all the stuff together. And with Scott Williams, who also has been working with us for a while. He's in North Carolina, a Northerner, a Yankee. They really pulled it together, all the material. So it was, I think I've developed a good team over the years to help with a lot of this stuff.
And that's important, a good team, so that you can, you all think it's the same, and one can pick up where the other dropped off, and especially since you got so many irons in the fire, it seems like that's integral for that, for you to accomplish your goals.
And the concert, we listened to some excerpts, and man, it was beautiful.
Bach is my favorite composer, and when Chris told me that you were doing Bach, I'm like, what? How did I miss this? He's my favorite.
Me too. Since I was a little kid practicing piano, practicing the Bach, well, I couldn't play all of the well-tempered clavier, but there were definitely parts that stuck out to me, and I have. It's long been inside me. So this has been a project. When COVID hit, I thought this would be the perfect time to take a little bit of time and, go into these pieces in depth. And it should be, look, we're trying to do more shows. And, hopefully at some point it'll come to an area near you and you can come see it.
That'd be fantastic.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
The excerpt that I listened to me, it seemed refreshing. You put together the pieces in such a way that you still could hear the essence of Bach, but it almost sounded, modernistic in a sense. You've added kind of a pizzazz to it. I think that you brought out, Bach's true intentions for his pieces. I really enjoyed the excerpt, and if you ever come down south, I'll be happy to get a ticket. I'll drag Chris along. Come on.
Well, hold on. Drag Chris along. It's going to be more like dragging you along.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, playing Bach as a kid, it's very austere. There's no dynamics. It's very flat. But right. I would always hear these hidden worlds within the pieces. And I think now, having developed my skills as a film composer and working more with different colors and all, I have a lot to take advantage of and expose some things that I think are there in the pieces. I wasn't trying to bastardize or do anything. I was really wanted to pay homage to Bach, but also, present this music for a modern audience, and basically take Bach out of the museum and sort of bring it to, it's like if you read Old English, like everything is really hard to read Shakespeare, but like all the seeds of modern drama are in there, but how many, it's pretty painstaking. And so I think it's similar with a lot of old music. It's hard for a modern audience to relate to it.
So. And I gotta be honest with you, man, it was great. What I heard, I was like, she was sitting there playing it for me, and I was just, I started to kind of get the goosebumps listening to it, and I was like, wow, this is great. It does not sound like Marco Beltrami.
It's not. It's supposed to be Bach.
So you mentioned Scream, so I gotta ask, and with the new film that just come out, Scream 5, essentially, were you approached for the score?
No, never. The directors, I believe they had worked with Brian Tyler in the past, and so they continue their working relationship with him. So yeah, no, I mean, I did just the first 4, and that was it.
Gotcha. Now, I did listen to the score that Brian did, and he did pay a lot of homage to what you had done before, but you can tell it's a different composer. The Scream scores, now, that was your first horror film in general. That was your first viewing, horror film score ever.
Yeah.
Was that kind of you know, hard to do? Was it too much for you? And
Um, you know, I went into it very much as a very naively, having never seen a horror movie before. I didn't have any preconceptions about, what the score is supposed to do. I approached it um, very much like I was trying to put myself in the shoes of the actors, and it has almost like a teenage, over the top emotional vibe to it, like where everything is heightened, all the emotionality is heightened, and so that's really what I tried to bring out in the score and make it fun and over the top, and use a lot of the um, you know extended techniques in the instruments and things that would make it a sort of a bit of a ride, emotional ride. And Wes responded to that a lot. When I first got the job, I scored for basically on spec the opening of the movie, which was the scene where Drew Barrymore gets killed, and he really liked how, I guess, fresh it sounded. So he proposed me. This was my first gig, really. He proposed me to Miramax back then, and they had a screening for the movie in New Jersey, and it tested really well with the piece that I had wrote in it, and so they hired me to do it. But honestly, I learned so much by working with Wes, because I didn't know any of the conventions, and he had to teach me a lot of, like, oh well, now here you might not, it's not score this moment here. It actually will increase the tension if we play this in silence and bring in the music here, and so just how you spot the film. Spotting is where the music goes. Just in terms of that, I learned a lot.
that's great. And your career since then has completely flourished. I mean, and you've scored so many different genres. I mean, you've got Venom 2, which is, like a dark superhero type film. You've also released your film score, The Bicyclist, which was basically like it was a comedy. So that was kind of refreshing to hear that. And I loved the score when I heard it. I was like, wow, this is really cool. I love this. And I had always seen that on IMDb, and I always wondered what that film was. So now I got to hear the score for that. So that was very, very refreshing and cool.
When we did we started doing the Bach thing, I thought, well, I got to get a little bit more savvy with social media and all that. So I, finally a few months ago made up a Instagram thing, and so I figured, well, we have that. Maybe it'd be fun to release some of this old stuff that never really saw the light of day. And yeah, it was fun to revisit that. And you can hear how I was a student, I was at USC there, and I was working with other students who made the movie, and you can hear I just overwrote everything. But actually how I got connected with Wes, because he heard that. He liked how it was the emotions were all over the top for that, and that was one of the things that he heard of mine, and thought that this might be fun to work on together.
Now, one of the things I got to mention that still astounds me, and I showed this to Leslie, for like the Homesman and Three Burials and also World War Z, you take a lot of creative liberties. With the Homesman, you had the wind piano. With World War Z, you used skulls and everything else. And that's one of the things I like about your scores. You always try to do something different, something creative every single time. And I'm sorry, to use animal skulls is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Well, no, it's all, it stems from the picture. The first thing I do when I see a movie that I'm going to work on is try to figure out what's the emotional crux of the film, and how do you establish that in the simplest way possible that you can expand on throughout the score. And you know, in the Homesman, the whole thing was based on these people, these women going crazy, living out homesteaders that, you know, from the wind. They're out there all the time, lonely, and it drove them crazy. And so the wind was an essential element. And like thinking, how can we make the wind a musical element? And, you know, Buck, who I work with here, we've been working since Scream. You know, we set up this. Basically, it's a giant Aeolian harp by the studio, and the piano catches the Santa Ana winds, and they would come by, and we could actually tune the wind and make it an instrument, and that formed the basis of what a lot of what the you know, the intent of the score. And so each movie that I do in World War Z, you know, the fact that we use animal skulls, that was because the you know, the zombies communicated with their teeth. So
Right.
we thought, well, you know, but there's animals that communicate with their teeth. You know, the javelina pigs in Texas, they communicate by clicking their jaws. And so we thought, well, why don't we use that as a you know, as a rhythmical device in the movie? So, you know, we have fun. We have fun sort of abstracting things from the projects that we work on to create something new.
Well, Marco, I think that's going to be enough time all the time that we have right now. I just want to say I've been a big fan of yours ever since I was 15 years old, because the first two soundtracks I ever bought was Hard Rain by Christopher Young, and then it was the Scream 2 compilation. And those are the two scores right then and there that I was like, I want to be a composer. So
Well,
I just want to.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I wanted to become a film composer. Was I think it was Hellraiser.
Oh wow!
And then when I first moved out here, I actually worked, you know, proofing scores and I was like a messenger boy for him when he was doing Dream Lover.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it was. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Marco, thank you so much for joining us here on Measuring the Score.
Pleasure to see you. We'll do it again.
It was so awesome to talk to him. This right here was seriously one of the highlights of not only my film music career, but also my podcast career. I mean, it was so awesome to talk to him. Marco, I just want to thank you again so much for coming on to the show. It was so awesome. We can't wait to have you on here again. Hopefully we won't run into problems, but I'm pretty sure we will.
It's show business.
Yeah.
It happens.
And he understood it. He was like, guys, I understand. It's fine. I felt bad because the Zoom call started up and he's sitting there waiting on us. And I'm like, oh man, we're trying, we're hurrying.
So, because this is our composer showcase, we try to talk a little bit about our composer that we have chosen for the showcase, about their background and about some of the pieces that they have written, you know, and then talk about some of our favorite pieces that they have worked on. So Marco was born in Long Island, New York, and he studied under the composer Jerry Goldsmith.
Which is amazing because he got to... Jerry Goldsmith is really famous for The Omen, and Marco got to score the remake to The Omen.
See, that's wonderful.
And
I find that wonderful.
I can't remember how many notes it is. Jerry's score to The Omen, it was, I want to say it was 3 notes. And Marco said in the score notes, he was like, yeah, I couldn't do just 3. Sorry, Jerry. He had to do more. And I thought that was really cool, though. He was trying something like that. I thought it was awesome. It was a good score. The film, it was okay. But the score was great. I really loved it. And I'm not saying that because I'm a fan of Marco. I'm not.
Maybe.
I am not biased
Maybe.
at all.
Guys, you don't see this big old smile on his face because he knows he's biased. He knows it.
Maybe.
Anyway, you know, listening through, you know, to numerous pieces by Marco for this, you know, preparing for this segment, you know, I have learned, and in my opinion, Marco's has got a very distinct sound in his compositions, and it consists normally of many layers. A lot of his music that I listened to was not lacking in depth. It would all, I mentioned before that the more layers you add to something, either a painting or music, the more layers you add to it, it adds more depth. And a lot of his pieces have that depth to them. I don't think there was once that I listened to a piece that was lacking in that respect. Everything that I listened to that he's done sounded really interesting. It was provocative. It brought my attention to it right away. And I thought it was amazing.
Now, you had not really heard a lot of Marco's work until before this, though, right?
I've listened to some. I haven't listened to any of the current stuff. I found that I really liked the Quiet Place score. That was really good. I really enjoyed it.
That was one thing I kind of wanted to touch upon in the interview, but sadly we ran into lack of time. We talked about in the interview that Marco had never seen a horror film until he scored Scream. I thought it was kind of interesting that he got to work on A Quiet Place because John Krasinski, who wrote and directed and starred in A Quiet Place, had never seen a horror film ever, and then that was his first real big directing gig, was a horror film. And he said he became a fan after this. And I thought it was cool that he got Marco to score it. I don't know if it was because of that. I don't know the whole reasoning behind it, but I thought that was kind of cool how that happened.
Well, and I think that it's good in a way. Like some of these movies that we have covered recently and that we will cover, I've never seen before because I'm not a big TV watcher. You can attest to that. I rarely turn the TV on unless it's a documentary. Maybe sometimes in the afternoon I'll turn it on.
The Curse of Oak Island.
Well, that's not really a documentary, but it's just really intriguing to me. Anyway, because I like pirates, guys, okay? Bottom line, I like pirates. We went to St. Augustine, and I got to see the Pirate Museum. I was so giddy. Chris can attest to that.
Oh, yeah.
I was excited. But
hey,
anyway.
I enjoyed it, too. I like pirates.
I love pirates. And I love history. Anyway, I think that it's good in a way because they don't have a preconceived notion of what it should be. And therefore, in an artistic standpoint, they can create something that is totally different than what you normally see. It doesn't fit in a box. It's outside of the box.
And that's one thing I've always enjoyed about Marco's work. And I told him this, that he's always creative. He always comes up with something different. And he really does. And so I want to talk about some of my favorite scores that he's done. Do you have any that you've listened to so far besides A Quiet Place?
I like the 310 to Yuma score. But I think that my love for old westerns, especially it stems from watching them with Dad. When I was a little girl, to me his score captured that old feel. It put me in mind almost of the Good and the Bad and the Ugly score in a way. You could hear the old elements of the old western, music, and I really enjoyed it.
He was nominated for an Academy Award for 310 to Yuma.
Correct.
And I remember watching the awards that night, and I saw Marco sitting there, and you can tell he's all excited. And then sadly, he didn't win, and you could tell it on his face. I felt so bad for him
because we've all been in that spot. We've all done something, and we're like, yes, and we get like nominated, and we're like in the top 3, and then our name doesn't get called, and then we just get upset. I've been there. I know you've probably been there also.
Our podcast as well. It was nominated for, the local Nappy Awards.
Oh, and yes, I forgot about that.
We were in the top running for it, and then sadly we did not win. But thank you, everybody who did vote for us.
That is local.
That is local. Also on Twitter, a lot of our Twitter friends did vote. Now, of course, I have a love for the Scream scores, and that's what Marco's mainly known for. But there are a lot of more Jim scores that I really enjoy that he's done. The Watcher, starring Keanu Reeves and James Spader. Now the movie is not the greatest in the world, and I get it in Keanu Reeves. It was one of the movies that Keanu did not want to do, but he was forced to do. And it's sad that happened because Marco's score for that film was very, very different. It was the first time it wasn't like a true horror film, because that's mainly what he was getting to do, was like a lot of horror films at the time, or the ones that I were seeing credited anyways. But the score was very fun. It was very different. It had a lot of synthesized beats going on in there. I thought it was a fun score. It's one of those I'll listen to every so often. I'll put it on and listen to it. Another one that I really liked was Joyride, with Paul Walker, Steve Zahn, about the trucker. Do you remember? You ever seen that one?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
I'm
man.
sorry.
Really?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, that is one of my favorite movies.
I'm like, what are you talking about? I've never heard of this one before.
We may have to cover this one on the podcast. So, no, that was another one of his that I really liked. And then, of course, the recent one, like you were just talking about, I like The Quiet Place, 1 and 2. I like the scores.
Both of them are amazing. And, I noticed about 1 and 2, the thing that I noticed about them, rather, is that there's continuity there. It almost sounds like it could be part of the same score.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say, because there are a lot of times, even if you have the same composer come back, you go so long, and the composer can't really get into the mindset of what was there before. He can have the same themes and everything else, but it's a completely different field, completely different style, and that was not the case with A Quiet Place. It was just like you said. It was like it was continuing. It was like the story was continuing, just like the film itself. The story was starting. The second film was starting up right where the first one left off. So did his score. Now, I thought it was great that he did that.
Well, and I can attest to this, as an artist, because I paint and I do other things. But as an artist, sometimes when that creative mood hits me and I'll create something, and then I will go back and try to recreate it, I can't. I don't know what I did. I don't know how I did it.
Well,
and
same with me. I mean, there's a lot of pieces I've went and made that I'm sitting there listening to it and going, how did I do that? And I'll sit there and try to figure it out, and I can't.
Yeah.
I'm going, how did I do this? How did I make the drums sound like this? I'm like, how did I do that?
One of a kind. One of a kind.
And then that's why composers will sit there and go, that's why you write everything out.
Yeah, I tried to do that one time, and then I couldn't understand my notes, so I failed in that respect. I'm like, what does this mean? One coat of this color. I'm not understanding.
And there's been several films that have also caught me off guard that he scored. One of them being Ford versus Ferrari.
That was a good score.
That was a good score. I did not know he did it. I did not look up IMDb.
That was a good movie too. I enjoyed that one.
I was sitting there watching it, and I'm like, wow, this score is really good. And there was only like a couple of moments in there. I'm like, that sounds kind of like Marco a little bit. I'm like, no, that's not Marco. And then sure enough, music by Marco Beltrami. I'm like, whoa.
But people evolve and styles evolve, and even musicians, their style and the way that they play evolve.
Right.
And a good example, we've talked about Danny Elfman and the evolution of his music over the years. His style, it changes.
Mm-hmm.
Marco is the same way. If you listen to some of his earlier stuff as opposed to some of his later stuff, you can see the growth of a composer there.
Like we talked about in the interview, The Bicyclist, which is now available. Guys, seriously, go check that one out. I know Marco was talking about it, and it's really fun. It's really fun to listen to it. I loved it when I was listening to it. And like I told him in the interview, I always saw that that title in there, and I'm like, I wonder what that movie's about, and listen to the score, and I'm like, this is really fun. I liked it. So again, I want to thank Marco Beltrami so much for coming on to the show. This was so great to talk about him. It really was. I'm really glad we did a showcase on him.
I really enjoyed his discussion about his creative process. The things that interest me the most about artists is their creative process, how they create. And I appreciate and I've mentioned this before in some of our earlier episodes, I appreciate intelligent scores. And, what I gleaned from Marco's interview is that he likes to use organic sounds wherever possible. He did mention that he used a big wind piano, for the movie with
The Homesman.
Right, The Homesman. And he did mention that he used the skull sounds with
For World War Z.
Because of the teeth chattering.
Right.
I think that is very intelligent design there to try to add those elements into a score, and it makes it sound more organic and it reflects, the movie more. I enjoyed that.
I did too. I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool how he does all that. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you give us a review on Apple Podcasts. I think Spotify's got a rating thing up there now too. Or you can just let us know on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Leave a comment in the description below and just let us know. And again, it was so awesome to do this. It was so awesome to talk with Marco. Unfortunately, we ran into, some couple of technical issues, but we ran past it. We're good. So, got anything else?
Yes, I do. I enjoyed the interview as well. I love talking to fellow artists, and Marco was very courteous, enough to speak to us, and it was really fun.
It was fun. It was fun. It was very, very fun. So, as always, for Measuring the Score, I'm Chris.
And I'm Leslie.
Have a good one.